Perfect. We are good to go. All right. Well, welcome. I almost said good morning, but it is morning. But welcome to the Girl Gang podcast. Manuela, how are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
So excited. And where are you joining us from?
I'm currently in Denver, but I typically live in Florida.
Awesome. So cool. What part of Florida?
Sarasota.
Oh, beautiful. I love
Siesta
it.
Key.
Love it. Love it. I know we're finally kind of getting back to like being able to travel again and do things in other places. And I always feel bad because I don't know if you know a lot of people in Canada, but they're still like pretty locked down. And so I'm excited to get back to that. But excited to talk about your story. And I love that we're really going to bring this conversation of sticking to your values as a business owner. And really, I mean, as a person, but as you're building a brand and you are, getting clients, getting paid for other, things or brand partnerships and things like that, and saying yes to the right things. So, but before we jump in, I'd love you to share just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. My name is Manuela Baron. I run the Girl Gone Green, which is a platform where we talk about sustainability, how to be more eco-friendly, but from a really positive manner. I think that a lot of the conversations around the environment and climate change can be a little bit anxiety inducing. So we try to make it in a manner that is kind and welcoming, and that anyone can really participate and just share little things that you can do at home, as well as tackle some really big concepts. And it's really been a great journey. I just realized it's been like 6 years that I've been on this journey. So it's great to be able to chat about it. I know, I was on the phone this morning and I was like, yeah, since like 2015. Oh, wow, that's been a long time. I was like, okay. But it's a passion of mine and I love being able to share it. And through that, it kind of became communicating on social media, and I became an influencer before the term had been coined. So back in the day, I was like, I'm a blogger, but like I don't blog.
I don't have a blog.
Now I don't have a blog, and now there's this term. It's a love-hate relationship, but it's a great way to really share my values and what I care about with the world.
Yeah, I love it. So we are going to get into this topic, and you and I talked about before, I think oftentimes on podcasts, we hear the interview and the story and the where did you start and where are you now and all those things, which let's get to that. But I think this conversation is really important. Tell us a little bit. So why sustainability? Like, is it something you grew up with, or were you in college and all of a sudden you were like, whoa, what are we doing? Or like, tell me how this kind of came about.
Yeah, so I did not grow up very sustainable. I'm Colombian, so by nature, I think my household was a little bit more sustainable than some of my American friends. But I didn't really have an interest.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah, I didn't have an interest in it at all. Like some of my friends took environmental science, like AP environmental science, and I was like, I don't want to take that. Like I like fashion and makeup and beauty YouTubers. And that's what I was interested in. And yeah, it was in college. So I moved to Paris, France after graduating high school. And it was kind of this like journey to understand myself, and then also being exposed to other cultures, other ideas. And I took an anthropology class. It really inspired me to kind of take notice of my surroundings and learn what was going on around me. And I started making this like one overarching understanding that no matter where I went, there was trash. I could be in Morocco and there was litter, and I could be in Asia and there was litter, and I could be here and there was trash. And
New York City.
All of us had, yeah, New York City, everywhere, no matter where, how beautiful, how quaint, how perfect and picturesque your place was, there was going to be trash and trash management. And so that kind of led me down a rabbit hole of learning about the systems and what was going on. And I honestly got pretty obsessed with learning about it and then trying to learn what I could do. And I got frustrated because a lot of the times the conversations are like, the world is ending by 2022, 2050, and this is happening. And no one was saying like, what can we actually do other than like really small, minuscule things. So it kind of decided like, well, I can't wait for someone else to do it. I just want to start and do something now. But I was 19. What could I do at 19? So I just started doing little things, and then became kind of a ripple effect and kind of led me to the journey that is now.
So why Paris? Were you just like, this sounds nice?
The romanticized idea of what Paris would be like. I took French from like 4th grade, until
Oh,
like senior
wow.
year. But my French was terrible. I could not communicate. Like I
So
took
much
AP
time, but
French.
it's terrible.
I was the only person I think that didn't pass her AP French exam. God
Oh,
bless
AP
me.
is hard.
I swear, I tried, but like I really shouldn't have taken that. Um, bless my teacher's soul, but I don't know. I had this idea of going, and you know, a lot of the times we get scared that like, when one door closes, another one won't open, and it
Hmm.
happened to me very similar. I had a dream school that I wanted to go to. I applied early
Mm,
decision and I got waitlisted, or I got deferred and
yeah,
then I got waitlisted. And basically it was it's like limbo. It's like they want you, but they don't
but
want
they
you.
don't. They're just like
And
teasing you.
I was devastated. And you're 18, that's like
Yeah.
your whole life, like college, this dream, whatever. And I was devastated. And
Mm,
again, the universe, whatever you believe in, closed one door, opened another. And I got
hmm.
an email in the mail, or I got an email saying, hey, there's this opportunity to study in Paris with the University of Southern California. And it'd be a year and then you can transfer to USC. Do you want to do it? And I didn't even respond to the email. I was like, this is like a scam. And
This
I
is
like
a joke,
put it
right?
away. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm at dinner and I like mention it to my parents and they're like, you should look into that. That sounds like you. That sounds like it's meant
Mm,
for you. And again, like uh I didn't think I could afford it. I thought
mm,
this isn't something I can afford. And I had basically made the decision. I was going to stay in state. I was going to go to FSU. I was going to go to Florida. It was the most responsible decision I could make. And then this really universal moment happened where I get home from school. There's this FedEx note on my door saying you have to pick up this package. I drive to FedEx. I get to FedEx and there's just this massive like package. I open it up and it's an acceptance letter to a school I never applied to in
hmm.
Paris through USC with a global citizen scholarship. And I had never applied to this college. I like was like, what is going on? And then I ended up going.
That is buck wild.
Yeah.
I think
It
we're
was
always like, I need a sign. And sometimes we get a sign and we don't pay attention. And then kind of like you did, you got an email and you're like, this is a joke. I'm not going to take this seriously. And then it's like, all right, that's not enough. I'm going to send you a freaking package in the mail, you know?
like there was like confetti in the package.
Oh,
Like confetti. It was like this massive package. And it wasn't from USC. It was from the American University of Paris. And I opened it and I was like, I never applied to this school. Like, what?
how do I know who I am? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is incredible. So amazing. So then, like you said, you just started with, I think you froze. Oh, there we go. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so you just started with small things when it came to sustainability and being eco-friendly and things like that. Getting into the influencer space and really building a personal brand, which has come up a lot lately in conversations with other business owners, friends, my clients that I coach. Building a personal brand is almost like the way to go. People want to know the person behind the Instagram account or behind the website. And so I would love to hear how you really formed your values from the get-go, or did it evolve and change over time?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up loving social media. And what was social media back then? It was Facebook,
Facebook.
MySpace, MySpace. But I was in very early YouTube. So like YouTube started in what, 2007? I was probably, are we good? I lost you for a second.
Here, turn your camera back on. I turned it off just to see.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. So I grew up in early YouTube. YouTube started in 2007. I probably started watching people on YouTube in 2008. And then by 2009, I wanted to make videos. I was like 12 or 11. So I started making these like pretty terrible videos online and just learning and growing and like exploring and making friends online, which I think looking back, I think as a parent, I would be really nervous because my kid was
I
making
would
like
have too.
right. I made friends with people in New Zealand when I was like 14. And I got to meet them when I was like 20. And it was such a surreal moment to be like, I met you online like 5 years ago. What is this?
Now that feels commonplace, but like 10
Now
years
it's
ago, that was like
exactly
weird.
like stranger danger. We used to get these talks
Yeah.
online being like, don't talk to strangers on the internet. And meanwhile, I would go home after school and talk to strangers on the internet. But I
Same.
loved it. I loved that ability to communicate and build community based on your common interest with someone completely somewhere else. And so that really taught me to dive in and to make these relationships online. And, back then I was really interested in beauty and fashion. And so, like, in high school, I
Hmm.
made some beauty and fashion videos. I was bullied for it. I was made fun of for it, but it's all part of the high school experience.
Hmm.
But I loved it so much. But I think once I had something I really cared about, it
Hmm.
came so natural. So once I started taking on sustainability in my own life, I was just experimenting. I really, frankly, didn't really know what I was doing. I was reading books and then trying things and being like, what's the zero waste thing? What's this minimalism thing? Like, can I do this? Why not? I was like pretty fearless. I was like, okay, I'll just try it, see what happens, see if I fail. And started sharing about it online. So I started on I posted a video on YouTube. About a month later, it had 100,000 views. And it's like, wow, there's something here. Okay, I'm going to keep talking about the things I care about and see where that goes. And looking back, I don't think I had even though I knew the YouTube world, I knew famous YouTubers, even though I knew it could be a career, I really don't think I ever thought that like sustainability videos would become popular, or was that? I was just doing it because I was so passionate about it. And there were definitely moments in that starting few years that I could have done things a little bit more strategic and could have helped myself like now in the future. But at the time, I was just so passionate about what was going on and saying, like, how can I express that online? And people were attracted to it because it was refreshing. In the YouTube world where all you see is hauls, like Shein
Yeah.
hauls and like this hauls,
Oh, yeah.
I was doing the opposite. I was saying, hey, this is how I live, very minimalistic. This is my studio
Hmm.
apartment. I don't have a lot of things and I'm really happy. And I'm
Yeah.
traveling a lot and doing a lot and living my best life. And like, you can do it too. And people really
Yeah.
loved that. Um,
Do you know Layla Orr from Project Runway?
no, I know Project
Okay.
Runway.
You need to know her. She is
Okay.
a designer and she is zero waste. And she's incredible. She's here in Dallas. But obviously she was on Project Runway. Um, gosh, that was 2019, I believe. But she is, I think you guys would get along really well.
Yeah.
She's like
Okay. I'll
so,
have to
so
check it
sweet
out.
and so smart. And her designs are amazing. And I don't know how she does it. Like zero waste, making clothing and dresses and shirts and pants. I don't know how she does it. It's insane.
There's so much waste that goes involved to cut one
Oh
t-shirt.
my
Like when
gosh.
you cut out one t-shirt, there's so
Yeah,
many scraps that get left behind. So that's really impressive.
she is very impressive. You guys should collaborate on something. I need to hook you guys
Okay.
up. It's so exciting. And so tell me again, you said you did that video and then it got 100,000 views. I think you said, how long was that? How long did it take to get there?
A few weeks.
Yeah.
It was a few weeks. At that point, I had been making videos on YouTube for years, but this was a
Yeah.
whole new channel.
Hmm.
No subscribers, no nothing. But I
Hmm.
had those skill sets that I had been working on since I was a kid. But
For
I
sure.
shot that first video, I shot on my cell phone. I didn't
Yeah.
even use a camera. I had a camera, but I just shot it on my cell phone. And I just remember being like, oh, okay. And then I got followers on Instagram. I was like, oh, okay, we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
we're gonna answer these questions because a lot of people had
Yeah.
questions. So I was like,
Hmm.
all right, I'll just answer it in video form because I'm a full-time student. I was working full-time. I was like, I'm
Right.
gonna answer in a video. And then
Yeah.
it continued, and then the interest started even more because people were really fascinated. Like, how can I do that? How can I
Hmm.
do something? Because I think it can be really stressful because we don't feel empowered in these conversations because it's like doom
Yeah.
and gloom. Like 2 degrees, the world is heating, the hurricanes are coming, and it's like, what can like I'm living my life. I have other problems. I know a lot of people have kids and work and so many others. They don't have time to worry about this. So a lot of people really grasp on to like, I can do one little thing. Okay.
Yeah. I love your take on this because a lot of conversations around, you know, going green and things like that is on the negative side of like, we got to do this, we got to do this, and this is happening, this is happening. So have you gotten any flack for being kind of on the positive side of things?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a time and a place. So like I have some
Yeah.
pretty serious videos. Recently I've been doing pretty serious like TikToks. There's a time
Mm.
and a place for both, but
Mm-hmm.
I do think that I've had a lot of moments where other environmentalists will kind of look down on my like girliness. So when I first got into yeah, so when I first got interested in sustainability, I was just starting out. I had maybe like 12,000, maybe like 18,000 followers on YouTube, which I thought was a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
I had
Yeah,
a
it
few
is.
moments. Yeah, I thought I was like 19 years old. I was like, all right, let's do this. I thought it was a lot. And I had two different experiences with men who were a lot older than me. They were probably like late 30s, who had been in the industry for a while. So two different industry. One was the minimalist industry and one was the sustainability industry. And both experience went along the lines of, one was, I just don't think sustainability is like sexy enough, was essentially the word. They didn't use that word, but it was like, we don't think people are motivated enough to care about the environment. And therefore, we won't talk about what you care about. And ironically,
Mm-hmm.
now that's like their whole platform, but it only took them like 6 years to realize it. And they like really like shot me down in front of like this whole crowd, being like, we just don't think people care about it. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And then the other one, again, 19 years old, and these are like 30-year-old men
Mm-hmm.
who I really admired, like people I really
Oh,
looked up
yeah.
to. And this guy said, you will never be taken seriously in this industry if you leave the word girl in your username.
Well, fuck that guy.
Yeah, no, I
Wow.
remember just being like, there are so many women and girls and girly girls
Sure.
that can really make a difference in the planet and care and want to care. And one of the biggest things that my mom constantly reminds me is that
Mm-hmm.
we are the mothers. We're going to have children. We are raising the next generation. We
Mm-hmm.
get to instill values on those children. We get to
Mm-hmm.
instill values on our community that can be even more powerful than
Yeah.
some dude talking on his blog. So, but they were
Yeah.
really interesting of just feeling like, ooh, am I wrong for wearing a dress and caring about science? Am I not going to be taken seriously because I use exclamation points in my emails?
Oh
There's
my
so many
goodness.
things that for a while, yeah, right? Like for a while I had this shift in how I communicated in my business, and I felt like I needed to be professional and serious and wear black. And then probably like a year and a half ago, I said, screw it. I want to show up
Yeah.
me. I want to be girly. I want to talk about sustainable makeup. I want to wear dresses on hikes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do whatever it is because I know that if I show up myself, other young
Absolutely.
girls or other women are going to see me and say, oh, I feel like I can be part of this community too.
Absolutely. I think we see that a lot. I think we see just business owners of all styles or backgrounds. We see patterns that have gone before us or other examples that we look up to or that we could look up to. And we think that's how we have to do it. And we think that's how we have to model after whatever. And we do hear people saying, hey, you may not be taken seriously if, I've had people, there's the name girl in my community, dallasgirlgang, right? And people, it's some people don't take you seriously. But it's so much more worth it to show up as yourself, but also be professional as hell and be well versed in your expertise and be able to talk about your experience. And so I'm sure those guys are probably eating their words now.
Yeah, it's just a journey, but I'm, last year I was an Aerie Real Role Model, and I was
Mm-hmm.
on a
Yeah.
plane and I had like the Aerie notebook, and this girl goes
Yeah.
up to me and she's like, "Do you work at Aerie?" I was like, "Oh, kind of.
Not really.
I'm one of their role models." She's like, "With Ishkra?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was talking to this girl, and she was just sweet, like probably like 22-year-old flight attendant, like so freaking adorable. And I looked at her and I thought, like, this is my avatar.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
not
Yep.
the men who like off-grid living. It is this sweet girl who was so kind. Like, she was so kind
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
excited and enthusiastic and like cheering me on. She didn't even know me. We were just on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, she was cheering me on. And I thought, like, this girl cares so much about people that she
Yeah.
can care so much about the planet.
Those are the moments that like you live for, right? You know, because you're in the business of building community as well, and and that's huge to me, for a lot of reasons, but you want people to feel like they can come to you and approach you and be honest with you and be real with you. Like, that happened to me this week, actually, kind of. I was at a coffee shop in Dallas, and I was sitting there on my laptop, and these two girls were sitting across from me talking. They were friends, and they were just saying all these things that I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I love that. It's so cool. And I was like, so I kind of piped in, and I was like, you guys seem really dope. Like, tell me about y'all. And then one of them recognized me from Instagram, from Dallas Girl Gang, and they were like, oh my gosh, like, I'm putting a face with the name, and like, I'm so glad that you have this space. And then they kind of opened up and shared about things that they were, thinking, and they had just moved here. And I think if we all can, I don't know, well, let me ask you this. What's something you see, especially when it comes to, your values and like how we're building a brand, that you can actually implement into the community? Like, for those who are listening that are trying to build community but and stay true to like who they are, what would you tell them? Kind of like what you maybe told this girl on the plane.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, your secret sauce to whatever you want to build is what you care about.
Mm.
Because there are 500 million micro influencers who all post the same clothes from the same place.
Yeah.
And while it's great and they probably get free PR and make a little bit of money, that's not going to make you stand out. That's not going to say, okay, Aerie's going to reach out to you and email you and say, we want you to be a role model. That's not going to be enough to get like the big accomplishments that make you stand out. So there's a lot of fish in the sea. So the values that you have and what you really care about, and like, I love people who are passionate about something. Doesn't matter what it is. Like, I can listen to someone talk about hockey for 2 hours because when they talk about hockey, their eyes glisten and they shine. That's amazing. I don't even know anything about hockey. But if someone's passionate about something, I love listening to them because they're so enthusiastic. It makes me want to learn about hockey. I'm like, wow, I should go to a hockey game, right? And so that's kind of how I view it on social media and in life. If you are so enthusiastic about what you care about, for me, it's sustainability. For you, it could be makeup. It could be business. It could be, I listened to your recent podcast about shoes, the one who manufactured shoes. Like, it can be whatever it is. Yeah, it can be whatever it is they care about.
Yeah.
But if you communicate in a way that is enthusiastic and positive and unapologetically yourself, people start to tune in and they start to lean into what you have to say. But if you come from a place of like too preachy or too generic, it's like it's not enough. It gets lost in the noise. So really, I say lean into your values as much as you can. And what are values? A lot of people are like, oh, I guess I value family.
Yeah, let's get into that.
I value this. And it's like, your values will always change. They are, when I got started, it was really just like sustainability and minimalism. And then I went through a major depression. And I really struggled because no one in my life knew how to handle it. And
I had been through it probably.
Now everyone can look back and be like, we really messed up. I'm so sorry. But like, at the time, I didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to handle it. We were in the situation where like, we just kept making it worse. Like, everyone around me was just like stirring the pot and making it worse. And it was really frustrating for everyone involved. And so now one of my values is mental health and talking about it
Mm-hmm.
in my own time, in my own way, and like having these conversations because I think it's really important. I think it's important to acknowledge there's a lot of burnout right now after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We're all feeling a little like, whew, okay, and a little stressed because we know it's coming again. And having these conversations has added a new value to my little like value pillar. But at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, like there are things you care about,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's religion, whether it's health and nutrition, and showing up in that. Like you can be talking about business and come from a place of God, or you can become from
Mm-hmm.
talk about business and talk about health because health affects
Yeah,
your business. And so
absolutely.
I would recommend like not ignoring those other things in your life because that's what brings in the spice. That's what brings in your personality. And
Mm-hmm.
we often think from these models, mostly male, that we have to be one thing. Like we have to have this podcast and only talk about business and community,
Yeah,
when really like we should be talking about everything, like period cycles and how they affect our business model.
absolutely.
Like everything kind of is involved. And I think that's the beautiful thing. And finding your value is going to be an internal journey of
Yeah,
saying like what is important to you and what does that look like. I didn't care
yeah,
about sustainability until I was 19,
yeah,
but now I do. And now it's like my main force. It's my full-time job now. And
yeah, that's what you
but
do.
if you would have told 16-year-old me what my values were, I would have said like taking pictures, video, my friends, doing well in school,
Yeah,
you know?
friendship, family. Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh man. And I mean, if you want, we can just get into this too. Like, I think because people, the people that are very passionate about the things they care about and the things they're interested in, it can feel a little lonely, and that can be what leads to depression. I've experienced the same thing. I went through a season late in college, and then I mean, life just changes up and down all the time, and especially as you're, building a business, like you're responsible for everything, and then if you have people working for you, and then it can feel really isolating, and a lot of people don't, like, your family doesn't understand. They're there for you, but like you said, like they could be making it worse and they don't really even know because they don't know what to do, or all of those different things. I'm really glad you brought that up. What would be, I mean, do you have any, like, I don't want to say like tips and tricks, that makes me want to vomit, but do you have any thoughts on
yeah.
if someone's like in that kind of season? Because it is not easy, and finding help, like asking for help, getting help is not easy. I mean, there's things like BetterHelp or, online counseling, but then it's like some people like can't afford it, and like you wanted to go to that school and you're like, I can't afford this.
Right.
But yeah, I'd just love to hear your thoughts. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, to get vulnerable here,
Let's do
it's
it.
really hard. Like depression is really hard. And
It is.
I actually ended up graduating and studying entrepreneurship. Like I transferred and did like my last year in entrepreneurship.
So
And I
cool.
wish someone would have told me that the hardest part to being an entrepreneur is you're swimming against the current of what other people expect of you. And I think the biggest thing of my journey has not been haters online, has not been finances, has not been negotiations, has not been anything business related, but rather feeling like I am not enough for the people in my life because I didn't have a stable job, because I chose a path that's less traveled, because I didn't have a 401k, because all of these things, like the people in my life put on so much pressure. And
Mm-hmm.
really, I mean, it's been 6 years and I went full time like a few years ago, and I mean, I was making like no money. I was like, but I loved
Mm-hmm.
it, and I was like determined, and I'm like super confident in myself. I was like, this is gonna be something. And people were like, you should have stayed in your
Okay.
job. Like everyone was like, you should have taken that job. Like that was pretty good, and I
Yeah.
surpassed my salary of that job, and it was really, really hard. And I still struggle with it. And I still struggle with certain people. And when I'm with
Mm-hmm.
them, I just feel drained. And I feel like
Mm.
I'll go home and cry after hanging out with people I love, like people I
Yeah.
absolutely love. And it took being on a billboard in New York Times or being on the Today Show for people to be like, oh, like you're doing something. And I'm like, God. I've been doing this for years. Like I've been working so hard. I've been pouring
does no one else see this?
I have been pouring my heart and soul into what I am doing. But for people, it's hard because they've never seen it done. And if you've never seen it done, it can be really stressful. And so for me, it was having an inner faith in myself, but it sometimes being drowned out by those around me. And just feeling like, can I actually do this? And then that's when the self-doubt comes in. That's when you wonder, like, oh, am I actually doing the right thing? Like, should I be doing this? Like, should I take this on? Should I not? Am I doing this opportunity because of a scarcity mindset or because I want to prove something? Or am I doing it because it's truly part of my calling? And for those listening that you're going through a rough time, and I know right now a lot of people are in ruts and they're just not feeling like themselves because it's hard. We're isolated, we're not in community, we're missing a lot of parts. And for me, I've been missing feeling like I'm with a community who like believes in me truly.
Yeah, who's like constantly cheering you on.
Who's like has that intention. Like I think people in my life love me and want to like hear me succeed, but like don't quite get it. And like that's what I'm missing right now is that community because of everything going on. But I think that the more you tune into the people that bring you up and light you up, the better it is. But if you're going through a depression and you're struggling, the people in your life will probably not be able to help you. And that's like a really like sobering reality of like, if you're struggling and you want help, the people in your life normally can't help you. And that was the hardest thing for me. It was like, I need help, but no one knew how to help me. And that's where you,
and it's
you
not
tune
their
into,
fault necessarily, right?
No, it's not their fault at all. And they just don't know. Like you don't know what you don't know. And you like, my mom is so sweet. She's like, if I could go back, I'm like, I know, Mom, I really do. Like she tried her best. She did not know what she was doing, and it's okay. But in those moments, you really have to, it's hard because when you are at that moment where you're struggling, you don't have the energy to seek help, like figure it out. But like maybe find one trusted person that you can say, I really need help. I need you to help me find someone to see. Or this is like, give them exact tasks to do because people don't know how to help you. So if you say like, I think I need to talk to someone, could you call around to see if I can find someone? Or even financially, like, could you help me pay for this one therapy session, like one therapy session or anything? But
help me find something on my insurance or
my insurance.
Whatever.
Oh, that was the hardest part. On the phone with insurance, it was like absolutely awful. I was like depressed. I hated it. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah, it's already hard enough, and then you got to call around and deal with all of that.
It's so hard. So if anyone's struggling right now, I want you to know that we hear you and we see you, and that we're rooting for you and what you're in.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And the good thing about therapy and counseling now is it is more readily available than it used to be, and you can do it online. I know I was on BetterHelp for a long time, and then I really needed something that was on my insurance, and so, but you could even just text within the app, and that can bring you a lot of relief and clarity, or you could just do a phone call. You didn't always have to do like a video call. Like it's completely what you want to do, because I remember when I was going to therapy in college, you had to walk into the student center where everybody is and hanging out. And then you had to walk down this hall to this one office, and you knew you were going in there for one of two reasons: for therapy or for housing issues, like your dorms or apartments or whatever. And so it's like, if you go in that door and people see you, they know. And then if they know where you live, they know it's not, an apartment issue because you live on campus or whatever. So it's like, but here's the thing too about depression, anxiety, you always think people are thinking about you, and you always are like feeling like you're letting people down. But more often than not, no one's thinking about you. Like, not in a bad way, but like, all of us are really just thinking about ourselves all the time. And that's also not a terrible thing. But we're worried about what other people think when 95% of the time we're thinking about ourselves, you know? So it's so interesting. I love that we got into this conversation, and I want to tell you, I think you're amazing. And I hope you can be a part of my community. And like, I mean, I understand. And you brought something up a second ago that I think would be great to land on is scarcity mindset. I go through seasons of it. I think everybody does, of like, especially if you're self-employed, like, oh, wow, like this is a slow month. Or, we do a lot of brand partnerships. And so it's like, okay, I hope this brand signs this deal, we'd love to do this or whatever. How do you dig yourself out of that? Like you personally?
Yeah, it is a journey. Going self-employed, the biggest thing I had to learn was you have to have money in savings. And like, yes, you invest, and now I invest in my retirement and I do all the professional things I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It took me a bit to figure it out because I didn't have anyone in my life who has invested in the stock market. I'm Hispanic, no one does that. So like, it took me a really long time to learn about, personal finance and emergency funds and all of those things.
They also just like don't teach that in high school anymore. I didn't get taught that.
It's so hard. And opening a bank account is scary. And like self-employed 401ks and Roth IRAs, it's like they're all like intimidating, but it's possible and doable. So you can do it. But the biggest thing that I really had to learn was like, okay, you need to have X amount of money in like a business savings account so that when you have great months, it's great. And when you have low months, it's fine. Because if you have low months and that like scarcity little alarm kicks in your brain to be like, you're not making enough this month, you're most likely to take partnerships and projects that don't align with what you believe in. And I've made a few mistakes over the past. I've made a few that I look back and I'm like, I did that because I was nervous.
Yeah.
And so the amount of things that you can do to prepare yourself so that you're not caught in that situation will help you make decisions and take opportunities that are truly right for you. Because so many of us will get nervous and will think, oh, I should just take every opportunity. But not every opportunity is for you.
I definitely have made those mistakes too. And it's hard to say no to money.
I say no to money all day long. That's all I do. That's all I do is say no to money. And like, sometimes I think if I was in a different like niche and I was doing like fashion or beauty, I was like, I'd be making so much money. Yeah. But then I had to remind myself, like, you're doing something so much bigger and better, and the money comes in a way that is aligned with who you are. But I had, NDAs involved, so like we'll keep it vague. But I had a project that was incredibly lucrative, like the amount of the salary of the job that I was going to previously take before I went unemployed. So like, it's a lot of money, and it's like, okay, do I take it? Do I not? Do I take it? Do I not? I like cried about it. I spent like 3 days like wondering, like, is this for me? Is this the right move? It is, but it kind of isn't. Like, it is, it isn't. Okay, whatever. And then I sat in the airport because I was flying somewhere else. I was in the airport and it just hit me. I was like, it's not it. It's not it. It's a lot of money. It's more money than I was making at the time. It was more money than I was making in a year at the time. I was like, okay, it's not it. Yeah. I wrote them this really nice email and I said, this is why this isn't aligned. This is why like that, but like, this is amazing. I want to be a part of this, but like in a different manner. And I listed out my ideas, sent off the email, didn't hear back for like a while. Yep. I get a phone call and they're like, great, let's do it. I'll double it. And like, we're going to do exactly what you want, not what we want, what you said, all your ideas, and we'll double your rate. And I just looked at it and I was like, not only do happening.
It's okay.
1 second. Not only do I get to do what I really wanted to do, but it also was rewarded for speaking out and saying, this doesn't sound right. It's not aligned.
Yeah.
and then was able to do what I actually wanted to do, which was such a great, like, that was like a great confidence booster for me to say
Oh, absolutely.
more opportunities will come. So don't be afraid to say no, or to
Yeah.
say no and pitch something else. That was the big one. I pitched them something completely different and they
Hmm.
loved it. And that's what they wanted to see.
And that's part of negotiations that I think people don't see is when they hear someone say no, or when you see that it's not aligned, you're like, well, I guess that's it. No, like everything is up for negotiation. And when you're not clear on your values and your boundaries and things like that, you will, like, the buck will stop there. And you could miss out on opportunities for impact and really getting what you want and deserve when you just think that it's over, like it's not over until you decide that it's over. That's my kind of philosophy. But how cool is that? I love it. So exciting. Well, this has been a really great conversation. Exactly the kind of direction that we're going with this podcast. Less of, tell us your story, and more of like, tell me who you are as a human, So I want to say thank you for being on the show today. How can people connect with you? Like what's coming up that people can get involved in?
Yeah, I'm the girl gone green on all platforms and newly TikTok, which I'm still
TikTok.
learning to navigate. But yes, you can connect with me. We're doing a lot of education on Instagram Reels, but we also just chat about, what's going on in the environment, but also what you can do, and then just alternative ways of life. I think we are all in this chase of something when
Mm-hmm.
really we are in it right now. And there's so much beauty in the world and so much that you can connect with. And that's really what I kind of want to shift a little bit. I think I'm going through a little shift in my content as you are in the podcast.
Uh-huh.
I think there's so much that our values, going back to our values, that we're not connected to. And I want to help people connect more with nature and help people connect more
Mm.
with themselves, because
Yeah.
it can be really easy to get focused on one passion or get focused
Mm-hmm.
on your career or the next step or getting married or these things, when really we can find joy in every single moment. So I'm excited to kind of dive a
That's
little bit
awesome.
deeper into that. Thank you so much.
So exciting. Well, it was a pleasure and a joy to talk to you today. And you guys go check out Manuela's Instagram and TikTok. I know I feel too old to be on TikTok, but I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
real quick. I made my dad a TikTok a month ago, and my dad not only hit 100,000 followers on TikTok, but was featured by E! News, People, and Pinterest sent him a sweater, a custom made
I
sweater
saw that in
of
your
his
stories.
username. I'm like, what in the world? Like, I put one video and it went viral, and now he has like this like cult following that's obsessed with my father. It
He's
is
like, I'm an
such a
influencer
funny
now
app.
too.
It is such a funny app. I love it. It is just, it's fun. It's weird. You don't really know what's going on, but
I don't know.
it's nature. So
It makes me miss Vine. Did you ever get on Vine?
I never got on Vine. No.
It was so funny, but we're like reliving our Vine days.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it's been so great to have you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.